What is going on, everybody? It is me again. It is HorrorFan34, and welcome to another video, and welcome to, once again, another Weekly Watch Challenge video. We are on the 5th week of this particular Weekly Watch Challenge. I want to give a shout out once again to my buddy Rob over at Movie Review Time for coming up with this idea of doing these. And so for this particular week, Rob was actually the one that chose the topic for this past week. And I thought it'd be a really cool one to do. So Rob decided to go with Masked Killers Week, which is basically any film that deals with a killer and a mask, like in a horror film. And I went with a couple of some really good choices here, some underrated ones. You won't be seeing like any Jason movies or Halloween movies because I feel like that'd be too easy to go with, even though those are masked killer movies themselves. But I did go with a couple that are kind of outside of that particular series of films. And I figured this was a really cool idea to do, and stay tuned at the end of the video. I'll be talking about what the theme will be for next week. Shit. Oh, I thought the camera froze for a second, so I do apologize for that. I'll leave it in anyway. But we're gonna stay tuned at the very end. I'll be announcing the next week's topic. So let's get on to this one. So on Monday, I decided to watch Scream, the first Scream. The first Scream, still a fantastic film. It's my favorite of the franchise. I do enjoy all 5 movies in very different ways. I say the first and the third one are my favorites. I've had to pick my 2 favorites. Although I think Scream 2 is underrated. And I really enjoyed the new one. Scream 4 is pretty good too. I think they're all good in their own ways. But the first Scream is definitely the best one of the franchise. I mean, just a fantastic cast. Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, David Arquette, Jamie Kennedy, Matthew Lillard, Skeet Ulrich. Little appearances by Drew Barrymore and Henry Winkler as the principal, which is a nice touch. Got the Fonz himself, and Rose McGowan, of course, can't forget her. But I mean, what more can you say about the first Scream that hasn't been said before? I mean, it's one of those. It's definitely one of Wes Craven's, may rest in peace, one of his best films. Definitely, I would say in my top 10. If I did a top 10 Wes Craven. I think my top 5 Wes Cravens would probably be The Serpent and the Rainbow, Shocker, The People Under the Stairs, probably Scream, and probably Elm Street. Although I really do enjoy some of his other ones as well. But the first Scream. And what more can you say about this one that hasn't been said before? And yes, it is autographed by many people, even on the back. It's been signed by a lot of people. So I had to go with Scream as my first choice for Masked Killer Week. Then the second one that I chose, which is on Tuesday, Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. I always thought this is one of the most original horror films in the last 10 years. Love this film very much. Basically, it's sort of like mixture of a documentary film crew following around this person who is determined to be the next Jason Voorhees, and it's showing him training for the night and choosing his weapon of choice. It's a sort of an origin story, sort of in a way, of this upcoming killer in this mask right here. And I think it's such a cool idea to have a documentary crew following around this person that's becoming the next killer, and sort of going through their origin, their weapon choice, training. Even have they have their own sort of Dr. Loomis character in this, played by Robert Englund, and some other great members of the cast in here. You have Zelda Rubinstein, you have Scott Wilson, may rest in peace, like I said, Robert Englund. Just a great cast in general in this. Even one of the girls from Home Alone is in this as well. But I'm not going to spoil it too much, but Behind the Mask of The Rise of Leslie Vernon is a good one to check out. Wednesday, Laid to Rest. Love this film as well. I would say one of my favorite horror films as well from the 2000s. I think this was 2009. Yeah, 2009. Definitely one of my favorites during that decade of horror films. Love the character of Chrome Skull. I love the look that he has with the skull-looking mask. Love that look. And this has a fantastic cast of people in here. You have Bobby Sue Luther, who was in the Night of the Demons remake. You have Kevin Gage, who was in films like Heat. You have Lena Headey, who was in 300, The First Purge, and lots of other stuff. You have Jonathan Schayock, I think that's how you say his name, Jonathan Schayock, who was in Quarantine. You have Thomas Dekker from a lot of stuff. You have Sean Whalen, who was Roach and the People Under the Stairs, and one of the Storm Chasers in Twister. Richard Lynch, great character actor, Richard Lynch. Great cast of people in here. Very gory. It's violent. It's R-rated. And I Bobby Sue Luther, I think, did a great job as the lead character. And just one of my personal favorite slashers in the last 20 some years. Thursday, decided to go with House of Wax remake, which is funny enough. This is Laid to Rest was one that Rob chose for this one, and also he chose this one as well. But yeah, House of Wax does have a killer in a mask. I think it's Vincent, because it's twins who are the killers, Bo and Vincent. I think that's Vincent, because Bo is the guy with the no mask on. This is Vincent, who's pretty much right here. And yes, that is signed by John Abrams, who played Dalton. But House of Wax remake is a very underrated slasher. Love the whole finale too, where the wax museum's burning up and it's melting because it's literally made of wax. So the floor's collapsing underneath our characters and things like that. I think it's such a cool. This is such a cool movie, like a wax museum with a slasher element. And you have a pretty decent cast in here. Chad Michael Murray, you have Jared Padalecki, who was in Friday the 13th remake, John Abrams, Robert Richard, music by John Ottman. Oddly enough, I reviewed Urban Legends Final Cut, and he directed that, John Ottman, mainly known as a composer. But House of Wax remake, awesome stuff. And then the last one that I watched for this week, and I finished up on Friday, the original My Bloody Valentine. I mean, what more can you say about the original My Bloody Valentine that hasn't been said before? Definitely one of the best 80s slashers out there. And it's definitely and this does deal with a guy in a miner's mask, Harry Warden. Love the whole setting of the mine. And so many great memorable death scenes, like the nail gun scene, the scene in the shower. Very gory and violent stuff. And the casting here, Paul Kellman, may rest in peace, Neil Affleck. Very well directed by George Maholka. I mean, what more can be said about the original My Bloody Valentine? It's a classic. So that's pretty much it for this weekly watch week. And now the topic for next week that me and Rob will be doing, I came up with this one this time, and we are going to be doing 80s slashers. So basically that'd be any kind of 80s slasher films that you can think of. And once again, I'm not going to go into Elm Street or Jason or Halloween, because I feel like that'd be too easy. So I'm going to go outside the box of those franchises and do slasher films. You probably won't see this again, because I kind of did that already for Mass Killers, same with House of Wax, things like that. So I'll be doing a different theme or different kind of films for that particular week. But anyways, thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.